Excuse me, do you know what the time is?
Do you see the sun shining brightly at us at a 45-degree angle from the equatorial line? That probably means it's 3 o'clock.
Huh? In the age of the mobile phone, nobody tells time like this. So why do you still pay with cash when you have People's Pay mobile app from People's Bank? Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
In a few moments, the news.
Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
It's 6:45 a.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Soundit Avam. The President meets the IMF Managing Director in Egypt. The central bank says Sri Lanka's economy shown signs of stability. The Prime Minister calls for water sanitation in all South Asian schools by 2030. The CEB maps out plan to add 2,800 plus megawatts of renewable energy to the national grid. State Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya says more funds have been allocated by the budget for social welfare. The UK trade envoy for Sri Lanka arrives in Colombo. In foreign news, Biden sees real problems for Russia after Kherson retreat order. In sports, Tiger Woods to return at Hero World Challenge in the Bahamas. President Ranil Wickremesinghe meets IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva. This meeting took place in parallel with the COP27 climate summit in Egypt. The President held discussions on debt management with the International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva, the Ghanaian Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, and the Speaker of the People's Majlis of the Maldives, Mohammad Nasheed, on the sidelines of COP27, the UN Climate Change Conference in Egypt. The Sri Lankan economy, which faced extreme headwinds and heightened uncertainties during the first half of 2022, has shown signs of stability in the second half of the year so far. The central bank said yesterday that it was helped by the myriad of multifaceted policy interventions undertaken to steer the economy to transition towards a path of stable and sustainable growth over the medium term. Although the economy was on a recovery path subsequent to the abating of the COVID-19 pandemic, its progress was muted by the culmination of the entrenched twin deficits in the government budget and external current account. Hence, the central bank said growth momentum observed towards the end of 2021 dissipated rapidly and the real economy fell into a contraction during the first half of 2022, driven by the spillover effects of the unprecedented economic crisis felt across several sectors. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena called on the South Asian water and sanitation experts to ensure water sanitation in all schools in the region by 2030. He said Sri Lanka would be able to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal on water sanitization way before the target year. Addressing the Global Water Partnership South Asia 28th Regional Council meeting in Negombo yesterday, the Premier said Sri Lanka is determined to achieve the SDG Goal 6 on water sanitization to all before the target year of 2030 and added that its desire is to ensure adequate water sanitization provisions in schools as early as possible. You're listening to the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
The Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, says that after 6 months of discussions, the officials of the Ceylon Electricity Board have finally mapped out a plan to accommodate more than 2,800 megawatts of renewable energy to the existing grid between 2022 to 2026. In a tweet, the minister said that he had a positive meeting with the CEB and the Senior Engineers Association pertaining to this. The minister said that this will enable the CEB and the SEA to accommodate and accelerate many projects. 2 pronouncements under the Excise Ordinance, orders under the Finance Act, orders under the Foreign Exchange Act, 3 regulations under the Export and Import Act, and value-added tax were debated in Parliament yesterday. Taking part in the debate, State Minister Ranjit Siambala said, more funds have been allocated through the budget for social welfare. MP Lakshman Kiriyala said the government's discussions with the IMF should be revealed in Parliament. MP Dr. Harsha De Silva said his party will not demand not to increase taxes. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that agreements with the IMF should be disclosed to the country. He requested the government not to deceive the people. MP Anura Priyadashanayapa said in Parliament that people should be made aware correctly about the country's economic crisis. That concludes local news.
Nobody tells time like this. So why do you still pay with cash when you have People's Pay mobile app from People's Bank? Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The British High Commission in Sri Lanka said the UK trade envoy to Sri Lanka, Lord Davies of Abersaw, has arrived in Colombo for a 3-day visit. He will meet a range of business and government stakeholders with a view to expand trade opportunities and support the mutual growth of the UK-Sri Lanka economic partnership. The British former banker and former Labour government minister was appointed as the UK Prime Minister's trade envoy for Sri Lanka by then Prime Minister Boris Johnson in October 2020 and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
The officers of the Colombo Fraud Investigation Bureau have arrested an assistant manager working for the National Insurance Trust Fund who has allegedly defrauded nearly 6 million rupees by submitting fake documents. The assistant manager is a 33-year-old resident of Raigama, Bandaragama. She has prepared fake documents and cheated this money, which has been credited to 5 bank accounts of her relatives, including her mother, father, brother-in-law, mother's sister and husband. Investigations have also revealed that the mother's sister and her husband are also police officers. The Colombo Fraud Investigation Bureau stated that the fraud was committed on 13 occasions from 2018 to the first quarter of 2022 by crediting the money to those bank accounts and came to you in Watchlight.
If you are following NVQ or non-NVQ vocational training course, ensure that your name is registered with the Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission by the institution. Visit the website www.tvec.gov.lk and link to candidate search and enter in your national ID number in the trainee/certificate search. Please note that this is a legal requirement. This is a message from Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
We give you the strength to rise higher and higher.
Never step back, but always march forward.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Making headlines this morning, Biden sees real problems for Russia after Kherson retreat order. Biden hails midterm results, but Senate race down to the wire. And Brazilian music icon Gal Costa dies aged 77. US President Joe Biden has said Russia's decision to withdraw from the Ukrainian city of Kherson shows its military has some real problems. Mr. Biden said he had been expecting the move for some time and that it would allow both sides to recalibrate their positions over the winter. Kherson is the only major Ukrainian city to fall to Russian forces. But early on Wednesday, Russia's commander in Ukraine said it was no longer possible to supply the city. General Sergei Surovikin, who had been given command just weeks ago, made the announcement accompanied by the military top brass on Russian state TV. He confirmed Russian troops would withdraw entirely from the western bank of the river Dnipro. It was a significant blow to Russia's military ambitions as it faces a Ukrainian counter-offensive. President Joe Biden describes Tuesday's midterm elections as a good day for democracy, while control of Congress hangs in the balance. Republicans are expected to take control of the House of Representatives, but Biden said a giant red wave did not happen, as he had predicted. Speaking at the White House, he said the results had made him breathe a sigh of relief. Whichever party wins 2 of the 3 outstanding contests in Arizona, Georgia and Nevada will control the Senate. But the race in Georgia will not be decided until a runoff election on 6th December. After Tuesday's vote, there was too close to call. If Democrats lose control of either chamber of Congress, Republicans will be able to block Biden's agenda. Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, a possible 2024 presidential contender, won a large victory to stay in office. Gal Costa, one of the giants of Brazilian popular music, has died at the age of 77. The singer rose to fame in the 1960s when she spearheaded the Tropicália movement along with fellow stars Gilberto Gil and Caetano Veloso. Her press team did not disclose the cause of her death. Costa had recently had to cancel some concerts on doctor's orders after an operation, but had planned to return to the stage next month in Sao Paulo. Those paying tribute to Costa on social media included President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who called her one of the world's greatest singers. He said she was one of the main artists to put Brazil and Brazilian music on the world map. Back to the headlines of the world news. Biden sees real problems for Russia after Kherson retreat order. Biden hails midterm results, but Senate race down to the wire. And Brazilian music icon Gal Costa dies aged 77. With that, we conclude this bulletin of world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
Amidst all challenges, we will rally around you and advance.
In the face of hardships, let's stand strong together.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
On to development news, the construction work of the newly built West Terminal of the Colombo Port commenced under the patronage of the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Siripala de Silva. The Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Gopal Bagle, participated in this event as a special guest. The ministry emphasizes that this entire project will cost $789 million. 51% of the total investment belongs to Adani, 34% to John Keels, and 15% to the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. The length of the jetty constructed under this project is 1,400 meters. The terminal area is 65 hectares. The container capacity of this terminal is 3 million. That's development news, and we move on to sports news. Tiger Woods has announced that he will return to action in next month's Hero World Challenge in the Bahamas. Woods, 46, has not played since the Open Championship at St. Andrews in July, when he missed the cut. The 15-time major winner, who suffered severe leg injuries in a car crash last year, has only played 9 competitive rounds in 2022. His return comes at an event which takes place from 1st to 4th December at Albany outside of Nassau. And that's sports news. We take a look at business news next.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest. An interest rate of 22% in 4 months. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Tesla boss Elon Musk has sold another 19.5 million shares of the electric car maker worth $3.95 billion. Filings with the U.S. financial watchdog show. The news comes less than 2 weeks after the world's richest man completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter. Tesla's share price has fallen by more than 50% since the start of this year. Separately, Tesla is recalling just over 40,000 of its vehicles in the U.S. because of a potential problem with the power steering. The reason for the latest sales, which took place in the last week, has not yet been disclosed. That's business news. Economic news up next.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest, an interest rate of 22% in 4 months. NSB, the safest place for your money.
On to economic news. Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp, has announced that it will cut 13% of its workforce. The first mass layoffs in the firm's history will result in 11,000 employees from a worldwide headcount of 87,000 losing their jobs. Meta Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg said the cuts were the most difficult changes we have made in Meta's history. The news follows major layoffs at Twitter, which cut about half its staff, and other tech firms. And on to the weather report. The Met Department says a low-level atmospheric disturbance in the southeast of Sri Lanka has intensified into a low-pressure area. It is likely to develop further during the next 48 hours. Therefore, rainy conditions over most parts of the island will be expected to enhance. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the eastern, Uva, northern and north-central provinces and in the Mandalay district. Showers or thundershowers will occur elsewhere during the afternoon or night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the northern, north-central, eastern, Sabragama and southern provinces. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The President meets the IMF Managing Director in Egypt. The central bank says Sri Lanka's economy shows signs of stability. The Prime Minister calls for water sanitation in all South Asian schools by 2030. The CEB maps out plan to add 2,800 plus megawatts of renewable energy to the national grid. State Minister Ranjit Siamalapitia says more funds have been allocated by the budget for social welfare. The UK trade envoy to Sri Lanka arrives in Colombo. Biden sees real problems to Russia after Kyrgyzstan retreat order. And Tiger Woods to return at Hero World Challenge in the Bahamas. That concludes this morning's news broadcast.